Welcome to Meaty Ogre Gaming, and today we're playing Destiny 2. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and salutations. Today, the journey to Xenophage. Let's get to it. The Xenophage exotic is available, and this is how to get it. Now, talking about the Xenophage, we want to talk about what type of gun it is and what it is useful for. It is an exotic heavy or power slot machine gun, but each magazine only has 13 rounds, and you can only have 26 rounds total without any mods. So with machine gun reserves, you'll have a little bit more, but normally you'll only have 26 rounds and 13 to a magazine. Now you say, what the heck is going on here? I've got a hammerhead that's got 50 rounds. I've got 21% delirium that's got 200 rounds most of the time. Why would I want an exotic that only has 13 rounds? Well, those 13 rounds hit like a truck. So it has a lot of kickback, does a lot of damage, and there is no headshot damage with this gun. Now, I would say it is geared more towards PvP play, so other Guardians, either Gambit or in the Crucible, although I could see some uses in PvE content. All right, so enough about Xenophage. How do we get it? Now, you want to start off by going and visiting where Eris is looking the overlook to the pyramid, and there's two ways to get it. The first way to get there is to do the weekly memory. You pick up the memory from Eris at the beginning of the week, you do certain actions, and then you complete it. A portal opens up in the southern landing zone on the moon, go through the portal, and then you get there. Very quick and easy, although it does take some time to get that memory filled out and ready to go. The other way is to go up to the north landing zone in the Sorrow's Harbor. Now, going up there, you're going to go into the keep. You're going to take that door on the left-hand side, and you're going to hug the right wall. You're going to look for a place to jump up on the right-hand side. Go up, and then you're going to be right there. And, of course, Eris will not be there, but you don't need her to be there. Now, once you get up there, you will interact with the statues. Once you get the statues interacted in order, a chest will show up. Once you get the chest, then you'll get the first quest step for the Xenophage. Now, once you get that quest, you'll be ready to go. And it talks about anchoring your light. Of course, it means the anchor of light. You're going to go over there and you're going to look for a light, a literal light in the anchor of light. So follow this video to the building, go into the building and pick up that light. Now, once you have the light, you'll start torching braziers. Now, these braziers, there's several of them, and some of them are easy to see with or without the light, and some of them are difficult to see. So if you go through and just follow the path here in the video, you'll get all of them, and then once you get the last one, then you'll be ready for the next step.
light is fading.
So once you get to the next step has you figuring out puzzles in the lost sectors. And of course there are 4 lost sectors on the moon, so of course there are 4 puzzles to solve. Now if you're also doing the weekly bounty for errors where you complete all of the different lost sectors, then that would be of course the best way to do 2 things at the same time. So starting in the Anchor of Light. Now all of these are towards the end of the lost sector. So of course you'll have to clear out the lost sector and then get to the wall. Once you get to the wall, you'll know it is the correct one because it has a set of symbols on the wall that are all hive scroll and then 1 symbol at the top. So you've got 3 columns, 3 and 4 rows. And what you're wanting to do is match the symbol at the top to the symbols at the bottom, or vice versa. You're going to change the ones at the bottom to match the top one. And every symbol that you shoot, that will change that symbol plus all the symbols that are around it. So up, down, left, and right. So ones in the corner will only change the ones that are in that line. So just follow the pattern here and then we'll move on. All right, after the Anchor of Light, we'll go to Archer's Line. Again, go through the entire lost sector, get to the end, and then follow the pattern. Next we have the Hellmouth. Go to the lost sector there, clear it out, get to the end, look for the wall that has the symbols on it, and then follow the pattern here, and this will get you to the next one. The last one, of course, is in Sorrow's Harbor. Go up there, get into the Lost Sector, go ahead and go all the way to the end, clear it out, and then get to the wall that has the scrawl on it with the hive symbols. Follow the pattern again, and then you will be done with this quest step. Now, the quest line wants you to go into the dungeon. Now, if you have not unlocked the dungeon yet, you'll notice that Eris has a new bounty starting this week. And one of the things that you have to do is open a chest at a tier 3 plus Altar of Sorrow. So you'll go up to the Sorrow's Harbor up at the northern landing zone, and you'll see something different going on, and it is a very Escalation Protocol-esque type event. It's in a public space. There's no matchmaking. You can have up to, I believe, 9 people, so 9 guardians in that zone at one time. So you can have up to 3 fire teams of 3, possibly 12. But you only need to get it to tier 3 plus. So anything at tier 3 or above, you'll be good. Now, once you have that quest line filled out, you go back to Eris and talk to her, and then she opens up the dungeon for you, and then you can select it from the map. Now, in order to get all the pieces of the quest line in the dungeon, you can't just go through the dungeon. You have to do some extra things in the dungeon in order to do it. So the first step is to, well, kind of fall down. You're going to go down until you get to an area where it is respawn restricted, and there is kind of like a hive civilization, or the closest thing to a hive civilization that I've ever seen. And we'll just go through and tell you just real quickly what you need to do. Go to one of the buildings that have a symbol above it. There's a big green symbol above it. Go to one of those. There'll be a pit knight. It's an orange bar. Take them out. That'll unlock the door to that building. Get into the door, and you'll see one of 2 different things. You'll either see a sword bearer knight that when you kill, he'll drop a sword, or you'll see a boss, yellow bar boss, either a knight with a shield and a sword, or a hive wizard, or a shrieker. And none of those bosses you'll be able to damage if that is the case. Towards the back wall, there will be 3 chains kind of hanging, and they'll have 3 symbols. Now, when you look for those symbols over the different buildings in the civilization, those are the places where the bosses will be, and it is randomized. The buildings that house the bosses for my run will be different probably than the ones that are in your run. So if you happen to get a boss, just know that's where it's at. Go to a different one. Go to one of the ones that aren't listed on those chains. Get a sword, and then come back or go to one of the other ones. And each boss needs a different action with the sword. The Shrieker, you need to block while aiming at the Shrieker to damage it. The Wizard, you have to use a heavy swing, which works a lot like the Black Talon, so you'll shoot kind of a blade at it. And then the Knight with the sword and the shield, you just do a quick swing. So for the PS4, that is L2 to block, R2 for heavy, and R1 for light. Now, once you take all these bosses out, there'll be a light that is coming out of one of the buildings that wasn't there before. Go to that building, and there'll be one more pit knight that you have to defeat. Once you defeat him, the door will open and you can move forward. Now, once you move forward, you'll get to an area that has a bridge, and then across from the bridge, there are lots and lots of doorways. Now, if you move forward from this area, you'll have to come back at some point and redo it for the Xenophage. If you're trying to complete the Xenophage, you're going to look for the doorway that does not have a chain hanging above it. So if it is above the level of the bridge, you'll have to jump to the side of one of the doors, and there'll be several ledges that you can jump up and then jump up to the next level of doors. If it's below, obviously quite easy, and if it's straight across, that also is easy. Now, if you go to the wrong door trying to go in it, there'll be a catapult that'll knock you back and most likely kill you. But go to the door that does not have the chain across the top, go in, and there'll be a hive symbol, interact with it, and you'll be ready for the next step. The next step has you playing cat and mouse with ogres. Now again, this is part of the dungeon, so you will need to do this anyway to complete the dungeon, but you'll need to do something in addition in order to get the Xenophage. So when you come into the area, let's say you're coming in at the northwest corner, you're going to go to the north section, which has kind of an open area and of course an ogre. There's probably about 3 ogres in this area, and you cannot damage any of them. So a normal run will have you going through the passageways, the little holes in the wall. You shoot the little flap and it opens up. You go in there and look for a knight. The heretic knight will have a void charge, so you relieve him of his duty, take him out, he'll drop the void charge, you pick it up, and then find one of 3 doors to slam that charge on, all while trying to avoid the ogres. The ogres obviously can't get into that small hole, but they have no problem standing right in front of the hole that you're at, waiting for you to come out. So in order to get the Xenophage, you won't have to fight any knights. You'll have to go to that northern section and drop down, or find the tunnel that has a hole in it and drop down there, and that also will get to the same area. There is a plate with hive scroll on it. Step on it, interact with it. It says reveal the path, and then 3 platforms will come up on just to your left in that same area. So jump over to the last platform, pick up the light, and that will help you get to the final section for the quest. So talking again, in terms of directions. You're going to go back towards that northwest corner, but you're going to hug that right wall. All of the doors will have braziers by them, but there's only one that you'll be able to interact with. So you'll need to find that one, and I believe it is random. So it could be the first one you come to, could be the second one. You'll just have to go up to the braziers and interact with them while holding that light. And once those come up, door will open and you can go in.
Guardian down.
All right, if you've made it this far, you are ready for the final step of the Xenophage questline. Well, technically second to last, but this is the last step that you really have to work for. Once you open the door, you're going to come to a room where there's enemies. There's some thrall and then a wizard. The wizard cannot be damaged, and the thrall can. So once you start the activity, the thrall will come towards you, the wizard will fly away from you. And you have two main rooms. You have the room that you start in where the enemies start in, and then you have the main room. Now looking in the starting room, you'll see in the four corners different elements, different colors and different symbols. And all those will be necessary in order to complete this. So make note of the symbols and which symbols correlate to what elements. So you have void, arc, solar, and neutral or kinetic. Now when you get into and start this final activity, on the left hand side of the screen you'll notice there'll be something new. It'll say some kind of dread, either neutral dread, fiery dread, thunderous dread, abysmal, or abyssal dread, and those all correspond to different elements. So once you know what your particular dread is, and it could be different for all three, or you could all have the same or two of the same. It's all random. So what you'll do is you'll go into the main chamber and grab a light, and you'll need to take that light to the corresponding brazier. How you know which brazier to go to will correspond to the element. So if you have thunderous dread, you'll look at the arc corner and see what symbol it is, and then look in the main chamber for that. And there are 4 braziers in the main chamber that you can interact with. There's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, so you have back right, back left, and then front
right, and front left. And then you could have the front left on the bottom, the back right on the bottom, and then the back left and front right on the top. So depending on what symbol you're looking for, you're going to check those four corners and look for that symbol. Now, if you go to the wrong brazier for whatever reason, you will be slowed if you interact with it. And that may make a difference whether you make it out of the encounter or not. The big thing about the encounter is for people to stay alive, or at least one member of your fire team. So once you have the light and you know what symbol you're looking for, you're going to go ahead and interact with the brazier. Your light will disappear and that dread will be replaced by vengeance and a timer. So for 30 seconds you will be able to damage the wizard with that element. So neutral vengeance of course means kinetic weapon, thunderous means arc abilities or weapons, fiery is solar weapons or abilities, and then abyssal is void abilities or weapons. Best thing to have in this encounter is to have a variety of different elements so that you'll always be able to damage the boss no matter what dread and vengeance you get. So if you have a solar subclass, have a arc energy weapon, and then a void power weapon. That way you're always able to do some damage on the boss. And then once the timer runs out, that dread will recycle and you'll get a different one or possibly the same, and then just rinse and repeat until the wizard's dead. Once the wizard's dead, congratulations, you are basically done. Go back to Erismorn and collect your prize. Congratulations on getting that exotic. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll see you next time.
Guardian down. Guardian down.
To work.
I can smell the hatred of the hive upon you.